Hello and welcome to the channel. We've got the top 8 round of the Spring 3v3 Championships here for you. This top 8 round, as you know by the title and thumbnail, is going to be Green Purple Luffy and Purple Katakuri, one that I'm very excited to showcase to you all, especially with Green Purple Luffy being the new deck on the block for the West and Purple Katakuri being one of my favorite decks in OP11. Full disclosure before we get into this commentary that this is unofficial English commentary that I do for my own practice. You can watch the official live stream with the link in the description below. And also, let's hear from a word from our sponsor. If you're looking to bling out and have sleek new additions to your accessories for your decks, playmats, sleeves, etc., go ahead and check out Sleeve Chief. Sleeve Chief recently during the holidays released 30 new products on their website for you to get right now. If you love having custom Dawn sleeves, they've got excellent new Dofi God of Thunder Gear 5. Even the Mochi Demon and Law sleeves just look so good. If you like having an entire theme of deck box, playmat, border sleeves, Dawn sleeves, they've got a Flame Brothers bundle that looks so good, all centered around one of the more popular characters in the game, Ace. Hanging out with Luffy and Sabo in some of the designs as well. Various playmats and gorgeous deck boxes on their website. If you're interested in any of these things, make sure to use code Atrocious at checkout for 5% off your order. Not only would you be helping support the channel, but you would also get some of your new favorite products along the way. Thank you so much to Sleeve Chief for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to what we were talking about before. Now, Green Purple Luffy, the hot deck on the block in the EB02 format, is still a great deck to play in OP11. That leader effect of activate main once per turn, Dawn -2 if you have only Straw Hat crew type characters on the field, set up to 2 of your rested Dawn as active, and then the leader gets 1000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. This deck loves to cycle in Sanji and Pudding, right? A character card that allows you to re-ramp the Dawn that gets put back in your Dawn deck through leader effect. Purple Katakuri, a great new deck in OP11, has a when attacking or on opponent's attack once per turn Dawn -1. You can look at the top card of your opponent's deck, then this leader gets 1000 power during this battle. It's almost as if it's a reverse Shanks effect, right? Type of leader effect has been very strong in the Purple Big Mom Pirates archetype and had an excellent performance in this tournament, obviously with his team being in the top 8 of the championships. We do have exact deck lists for both players. I follow this person on Twitter actually that plays this Purple Katakuri, so I was very excited when I saw that they posted this result of the tournament, and it's really going to be cool to see how this deck functions in real time. The first time that we've seen this leader in action was not around for the EB02 finals. That was just EB02, obviously the last tournament live stream that we did here on the channel. And so the Green Purple Luffy right here has a pretty good starting hand, right? You have some early search at the beginning of the game with Nami, right, to help find a key piece of the puzzle. You can continue searching with stuff like Zorojuro and also that 3-cost Robin blocker. A Sanji Pudding is always within the game plan, it feels like, for this deck, right? You always want one of them. And then one of the most best cards and broken cards, especially if you saw our last round of the tournament of Blue Purple and Black Purple Luffy, the Gum Gum Giant. The Purple Katakuri has an interesting hand as well, has some ramp in that Bon Clay, right? A purple staple essentially for so many decks. Also has that 5-cost Pero Sparrow. The 5-cost Pero Sparrow is going to be really nice as well to be able to draw and also get a Dawn back as active, help filter the hand a little bit, has great synergy with the leader effect. And then the 10-drop Linlin, that big 10-cost 12,000 power character that has rush if your leader is Big Mom Pirates, also is incredible, right, to make your leader a 7,000 power leader during the turn. Again, a lot of these new cards in the Big Mom Pirates build has great synergy with the Big Mom Pirates leader, so I'm excited to get this off. But first, going first in this match, it's going to be the Green Purple Luffy playing down that Nami, going to be able to look for the top 5 to find a Straw Hat crew type character. Now, it doesn't say that it has to be green. You can find purple ones as well, which makes this archetype, or which helps makes this archetype so strong in this. You can play so many different bodies and targets. Pretty much the whole deck is a target for this Nami. So thinking about between one of the two 2Ks, Usohachi is the choice instead of the 6-cost Sanji. 6-cost Sanji is something that most green purple Luffy players play, but if you're trying to reveal the least amount of information, Usohachi is the guaranteed one that is going to be in. And unfortunately for the purple Katakuri player, accidentally revealing one of the cards, definitely just a simple regular mistake. As long as both players know, each player can just know what is on the top of the deck, or the second to top card of the deck. So starting out doing the we're going to claim the One Piece does find a 2-drop purple Katakuri. This 2-drop purple Katakuri is so nice because an OP11 ends up bringing back the 8-cost Katakuri in this matchup, which is so good if you've been following the blue purple Luffys within this tournament and this format. So definitely going to be a good one to have. And if you want to play purple Katakuri, make sure that you've got in your bulk. Now, the green purple Luffy is going to start out with a 5,000 power leader swing. So it's going to be an interesting choice right now as he counters out of whether or not he wants to use his leader effect. I think leader effecting right now is a little bit too soon. So you kind of take that 5K swing right there and we move on into the next turn. Is going to be at 4 Dawn, so could go ahead and use that Ball and Clay on curve. Just swing at that Nami, get rid of the body, or maybe swing at lead, right? That Nami is more than likely not going to swing anymore, but you do want that Bond Clay, right, to get that leader swing once it does turn sideways. So getting rid of that body on the Nami right here could be very, very beneficial, but I think is going ahead and swinging at life, and it looks like the green purple Luffy is going to take it. Now, the broadcast as he goes out and maybe plays this Bond Clay is showing the Sasaki. So the Sasaki is an interesting tech that most anybody, including myself, did not know about heading into this tournament. Sasaki being an Animal Kingdom pirate type character can be found off of that 1-drop search. So just really another searchable 1K that has some nice value. After playing that Mr. 2 Bond Clay right there and ramping a Dawn, using out that last Dawn for a Charlotte Anana, right? That 1-cost blocker. If you have a purple character with Big Mom Pirates type other than Charlotte Anana, this character gains blocker. So doesn't have blocker yet because the Bond Clay isn't necessarily a Big Mom Pirates type, but especially within the next turn, dropping a 5-cost Pero Sparrow, you're going to be able to gain a nice little 1-drop blocker effect. It's so good within the late game, right? We talk about chum blockers. This is another iteration. Now, the green purple Luffy on their 5 Dawn turn is going to go ahead and swing 5 at lead. Now we're seeing the purple Katakuri's leader effect. So with that leader effect, you're going to be able to look at the top card of the opposing player's life. That was that going merry right stage and becomes a 6K leader for the battle. So kind of like free, especially if you're ramping. So is going to go ahead, play that Sanji putting down on the field, and is thinking about maybe using leader effect right now to be able to play something like the Nico Robin down, a nice blocker, but just passes off the turn. Sanji and Pudding is kind of what makes this deck so good, right? Getting these guys down onto the field and then utilizing leader effect is a great way to re-ramp and also gain a little bit of power, right? Sanji Pudding, every time you put 2 or more Dawn back in your Dawn deck, re-ramps 1 as active. So if you put 2 Dawn back, you'll get 1. And if you've got 2 on the field, it's basically like just restanding 2 Dawn. That's what makes it so good. So the purple Katakuri on this turn is going to go ahead and use the Pero Sparrow effect. Going to be really nice. You trash 1 card from hand and reveal to both players what that top of the deck is. Knowing what the top of the deck is because you looked at it on the opponent's swing, you get to draw a card and add a Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So has really, really nice synergy on that activating main with the leader effect. So now has 2 Dawn left. Doesn't really have a great place to put any of this right now, but could go ahead and swing 7 and 8 with a leader effect right here, and then also the Bond Clay, but just opts for a 6. Doesn't want to go in with a leader effect as of yet. Wants to kind of stay in the same range on the Dawn. And so with this 6, we're going to have to see either a 2K or a life taken in this one. We do have a 2K in hand with the Usohachi, but outside of those Gum Gum Giants, if you don't have any Dawn up, there's not a lot of counter in the hand at this point. So goes ahead, goes down to 2 life, and takes that one. Is going to be a Nami search. And then with one more Dawn left, doesn't have another Anana, and so passes off the turn to the green purple Luffy. Green purple Luffy is going to go ahead and go to 7 now. The hardest part about this match is going to be remembering who's at what Dawn at this point, and finds that stage that we knew was on the top of the deck. So here at 7, what you could do is rest all 7 and go ahead and play the Luffy Taro. The Luffy Taro is going to be nice to play out another body, kind of swarm the board, and Zorojuro's an excellent option, right? Being able to draw 5, or I'm sorry, look at the top 5 and find a Straw Hat Crew, purple Straw Hat Crew type. You can go ahead and grab that Usohachi. Might be another 2K that you can add into the hand, right? Gain a little bit of power, and decides to grab the Usohachi here off of this search. So going to be nice to get that counter right there. Is going to go ahead and use leader effect to be a 6K character, or a 6K leader, I'm sorry, and re-ramping 1 Dawn with the Sanji pudding. So 3 Dawn left. Might go ahead, swing 6 at lead, and then go in and play the Nico Robin, but is really thinking about the stage. Maybe might attach 1 to lead and swing 7 right after swinging this Sanji pudding 7, and then using the other 2 Dawn for the Straw Hat Crew stage, or the Going Merry, and also the 1-drop Nami. So 7,000 power here at lead. Is going to go ahead, take that life. Doesn't want to counter too much or use the leader effect as of yet. Going to be another 10-drop Lin, I think. So communicating right now that the opponent is at 7 Dawn, this purple Katakuri. Having also an 8-drop Katakuri is going to be really, really nice for the next turn, being able to restand some characters. And remember, this 1-drop Charlotte Anana, right, because there is a Parasparrow on field, is a little 1,000 power 1 cost blocker. So going to be up to the Luffy on what they want to do with the rest of this Dawn. Remember that leader effect would be able to match at least the power as the purple Luffy, green purple Luffy on the field. And so is thinking about attaching 1 or 2. I like a 1 attachment right here. You want to make them give up something in hand, maybe outside of the Charlotte Anana, right? Don't want a nice free block, and takes the life. So grabs that 8 cost Katakuri off of the life. 2 Dawn left at this point. Is thinking about using the 2. You have 2 Dawn, not the 3. Oh, does have the Tony Chopper in hand. My apologies. And so as they are behind on Dawn, is going to go ahead and re-ramp 1 as rested and passes off the turn. Does not want to do anything else. Can't do anything else at this point. And so Charlotte Katakuri off on another draw. Is going to get another 2K, I believe. I think is the another Sasaki in the hand. So that's going to be nice, gaining a little bit of counter. It's either that or the Struzen. Either way, definitely going to be a good option for them. And so with 9 Dawn, I think at this point, the 8-drop Katakuri is definitely an option that you are looking towards in this turn. You can set up to 2 Big Mom Pirate type characters with a cost of 3 or more as active at the end of your turn. And then you set up to 1 from your Dawn deck and rested. So especially when you have your leader effect that you're using when attacking on opponent's attack, it can be real nice to help rejuvenate the amount that you're putting back through your leader effect, right, heading into the turn. So probably going to see a point right now in this game where you're kind of looping your leader effect, right, using it a ton. And this Charlotte Parasparrow and Bon Clay are both going to be hefty swings that this Katakuri is going to have to deal with. So is going to go ahead, swing the Parasparrow first, thinking maybe at lead. Remember that leader is a 6,000 power leader, so a 2K is going to go ahead and get out of it. And so is going to go ahead and rest that 8 for the Katakuri, or at least is more than likely going to, right? I don't think it would be too surprising to have a Charlotte Katakuri opponent play that 8 cost down, and there that is, and goes ahead, swings at lead, and now uses leader effect, right? Is going to look at the top of the opponent's life We didn't get to see it, but is going to have a little note on the cost, I believe. And this is one thing that is really interesting to note, that a lot of players, if you're going to pick up Katakuri, that you need to know out here in the West. In the West, you're not allowed to take notes during match of any kind, right? So this player on the Charlotte Katakuri side is taking notes, I believe, with their dice of what the actual cost of that character or card is at the top of the opponent's deck, right? Because if you guess it correctly for some events, you get to use extra effects. In the West, you're not going to be able to do that, so you're just going to have that in memory at this point. So that is something in the Eastern rules that is allowed, that is not necessarily allowed in our section, so something to note. But on this swing is just going to go ahead and block right here. So is going to go and use that Charlotte Sparrow activate main to trash a card. Guess that the 6-cost Luffy is on the top to re-ramp one, has 2 done left, and is going to attach to the Bon Clay and swing what I believe is going to be 9,000 power at life, I think it is. So is going to be tricky if they want to get out of this, is going to have to give up a couple different counter cards, I will say, especially because there's no Dawn up for the Gum Gum Giant, right? It makes the math a little bit more difficult because you already pitched a 2K earlier in this match, especially if it's at the Sanji Pudding. You're going to have to get rid of a 2K, 1K in your hand, and that's not going to leave a lot for you there. So let's it get KO'd, it looks like. And so it does get KO'd right there. Is going to go ahead and use that purple 8-drop Katakuri character effect of restanding 2 Big Mom Pirates types. And one thing also to note in the next turn for the purple Katakuri is that it can stand itself, right? Because it just says set up to 2 of your Big Mom Pirate type characters with the cost of 3 or more, not 2 other characters with the cost of 3 or more. So this 8,000 power body is going to be a free swing and stand blocker that's going to be really beneficial in the later stages of this game. But the purple Luffy now at 7 Dawn. We're going to see exactly what he wants to do, right? No other Sanji Puddings, but could find one off of this 1-drop Nami to start the turn. So he's going to look at the top 5. And does actually find it right there. And the upside is, you know, you have a good chance to find it, but the downside is can't really find anything else to build up your hand at this point. But with it being such a big piece of the puzzle that is so important, it's something that you really want to get going on this. So because the opponent is equal or less than Dawn to the Katakuri, is going to go ahead and draw a card on that your turn once per turn, or I'm sorry, on that on play, and then the your turn once per turn is going to go ahead and restand, bring back a Dawn with the leader effect. Now, they got to think about what they want to do with the Dawn going through the rest of this turn, right? Because especially using this leader effect, as I mentioned earlier, you're now back at 5 Dawn. So how do you utilize it? You have a 2-cost Toning Chopper. You've got a 3-cost Robin. So you could go ahead and after these swings, go in and just play double blocker at this point. That could be a situation that you want to utilize. Maybe also trying to bait on this 8,000 power swing, trying to get that Katakuri to block their 8-cost blocker and then use a counter card in hand, but ends up taking the life and gets a nice 1-cost search trigger. Is going to find a Shruzen 2K. Going to be nice to build up the hand. Looking pretty good for this purple Katakuri at this point. Plenty of counter in hand. Feels like has some good control in this game, but you do have to be careful, especially with green purple Luffy using that leader effect and swinging a ton of 8s right now. You're going to have to be cautious on when to use leader effect and how much counter you want to give up during this game. Remember that your Charlotte Anana is going to be a nice 1-drop blocker that you can utilize and is going to go ahead and counter 1K with that Bon Clay. You're at a stage of the game that the Bon Clay doesn't necessarily matter, right? It's more in that like 4 to 6 Dawn turn that you're really playing that guy down and utilizing it. So getting rid of it now, not revealing too much of the hand in terms of how much counter outside of the 2Ks that you've already revealed have gotten you. It's going to be another 8k swing and Charlotte Anana block at this point. Didn't really give up too much of your hand, no precious bodies at this point or cards, and finds another Charlotte Anana blocker. This is going to be really, really good, especially if an 8-cost Curry comes down on the turn. Another 8-cost Katakuri would allow a Charlotte Anana to get played since you would have 2 Dawn left, especially when attaching with lead, and starts out 7. So this 7, I believe, is going to go at lead right on a 6k leader, so is going to go ahead and force a 2k. You're really trying to get out these Gum Giants, right? There's also the 10 drop Lin. That's an option to be able to utilize, right, for another rush that could apply a ton of pressure later in this game. And so now is going to go ahead and swing this 8,000 power Katakuri potentially. Remember that at the end of turn, it does allow itself to restand. So you could go in now. Looks like maybe swinging at the Zoro Juro at this point. And so how do you counter out if you're the green purple Luffy? Doesn't look like they want to give up any cards for that guy right there. So let's it go. And the 10 comes down. The 10 drop Lin is really interesting, because gaining that rush is going to go ahead and do the Dawn minus on opponent's attack. You can go ahead and reveal that Zoro Juro for a 4 cost there. And with the 10 cost on opponent's attack once per turn, you can Dawn minus 5, reveal the top card on a declared cost. And if it matches that declared cost, you can give up to one of your leaders 2,000 power for the rest of the turn. So especially with leader effect, you can go ahead and become an 8,000 power leader on the battle without investing any cards in your hand. And so goes ahead, uses that Sparrow ability, right, that activate main to reveal that Zoro Juro on the top and draw a nice card, filtering the hand. And now this 12,000 power swing with the Charlotte Lin, I believe going at the Luffy Taro right here, just trying to neutralize the amount of swings that this player is going to gain for the rest of the game, right? Especially in this next upcoming turn. And with that 1 Dawn left that they re-ramped with the Sparrow, is going to go ahead and play probably a Charlotte Anana, right? And so on this swing, thinking about giving up the Giant is going to put back 2 Dawn and gain 4,000 power, right? Match with 12, and I think they still are going to need to give 1k counter. And look at that, that's that Nico Robin right there. The good news is for the purple Katakuri is there's not a lot going on in this player's hand outside of, you know, the Gum Giants that are going on. But if they can just take away some of these bodies, it could be so beneficial within them in the later stages of the game as this Charlotte Lin is out on the field. Now, what I will say though is you probably do not want to use that Dawn minus 5 until you're really out of a ton of options in your hand. So goes ahead and restands the Sparrow and Katakuri blockers at the end of turn. And I really actually like this play of leaving the Lin sideways, right, as rested. This is really, really smart, because even though the Lin is an insanely strong character for this archetype, right, it's the least likely body to get knocked out if it's sideways. Being 12,000 power means that there's so much Dawn that this green purple Luffy player is going to have to invest in order to swing at it. So it's essentially guaranteed going to stay on the field, especially with all of these 2Ks in your hand. If you swing at it, you're just asking that the counter is going to come down, right? And that's going to be most of your turn, only being at 7 Dawn. And so is going to go ahead and start out swinging the Sanji Pudding to 7,000 power. And then with the Dawn minus 5, actually is going to do it with the leader effect, revealing the Sanji Pudding, right? You remember, you have to do the order of the leader Katakuri first to gain the 1,000, and then the Charlotte Lin because you have to declare the cost of 5 on that Sanji pudding in order to get the 2,000 power. So is a 7,000 power leader now for the rest of the turn, as that Luffy Taro swings, is just going to go 2k, and another Luffy Taro is going to come down, and more than likely Zorojuro is going to hit the field at this point. Replacing that Nami is going to go ahead and do a search, is going to make the board super wide for this Katakuri. And so looking, what do they have? I see 2Ks in the Sanji and Franosuke, right? The Sanji is going to be really, really nice, right? You don't want to reveal the Franosuke as of yet, just because you don't want to let them know that you have access to another rush character in your deck. Is going to go ahead off of that draw after grabbing that 2K, go ahead and use the leader effect to put 2 back in, gain another one, is now at 5 with 3 left, and is going to think about swinging 8,000 power and leaving up 1 for the giant. Remember, it would just be another 2k that they need to utilize in order to get out of the swing, being a 7,000 power leader. And so here now is going to go ahead, attach the 2. I think this player just really thinking about if they want to go in and leave 2 up for Gum Gum Giants, right? Are they afraid of these bodies going away? And so does end up using block and the Charlotte pudding, right? Not expecting any more swings in the turn. You just get rid of the least amount of counter in your hand, finding that 2-drop Katakuri. The 2-drop Katakuri, I feel like, is not necessarily super beneficial, right? Green Purple Luffy constantly going backwards in Dun. The 2-cost Katakuri doesn't necessarily have that advantage, right, of evolving into that 8-cost Katakuri right now, because, well, the Green Purple Luffy's only at 5 Dawn after that turn. So with you at 6 Dawn right now, what can you do in order to stay in this game? If you do ramp right with the Charlotte Perospero, you're only at 7, so you can't play another 8-cost Katakuri in this turn. So starting it out with 12,000 power at the Sanji pudding, right? No blockers on the field. That is the sauce that keeps the deck going. You want to get rid of that as soon as possible. Does not give up anything for it. And it's going to be interesting on how much they want to put in with the Katakuri blocker in this Perospero to get rid of the Luffy Taro. So swings 8,000 power, I think, at lead, is going to go ahead, take that life. Maybe is not really worried about the Luffy Taros at this point, interestingly enough. Is going to potentially attach a Dawn, maybe thinking about going in and using a second Perospero. Although I don't know, you probably wouldn't use the effect of the Perospero, right? You don't want to ditch too many cards in hand, but threaten with a big body like that. And goes ahead and swings this Katakuri bear at life, I believe, right now. So an 8,000 power swing going at a 6,000 power Green Purple Luffy. Gonna see what they counter out, right? It's gonna take a Gum Gum Giant to not take the life right here, or the 2-2Ks, right, that are in hand. The 2-2Ks would be pretty revealing, right? Not having one, you kind of guarantee that this last couple cards in hand are either a brick or that Gum Gum Giant, which is exactly what it is. Don't have a rush character at this point, so no use in going in for game. Might just try to play down the Perospero to just have another body on the field in the lethal math in the next turn. And if you go ahead and swing with the Katakuri, you can Dawn minus on that Dawn on the Perospero to be able to make it a 6,000 power swing and try to get another card, which in this scenario would either be a life or the Gum Gum Giant. So ends up attaching all of it to lead potentially. Maybe is thinking of whether or not it would be worth, right? And one thing that they're showing out on the screen with this Usohachi is how much do they want to go in, right? This Usohachi would be very threatening, right? Would rest your Charlotte Anana immediately. And there's plenty of swings that are going to come at you at this point. So ends up swinging 10 at, I believe, the Luffy Taro right now. And so 10 at the Luffy Taro, a Gum Gum Giant would get rid of it, but what do you get rid of? Do you get rid of another giant, or do you get rid of this 6 cost? So ends up letting the Luffy Taro get KO'd, and so now restands the 2 Dawn, and the re-ramp with the 8-drop passes off the turn. So At this point right now, if you're the green purple Luffy, it looks like you're going to need to go for game at this point. I think in order to stay alive within this match, trying to see what the card is that they drew for turn, but is going to start out with Zoro. It looks like maybe drew the Frankie for turn. Nice little 1K, I guess, for countering out, but maybe not going to help you in this end game with this Charlotte Ananas. So goes ahead and swings 6 right now. And two things that you got to think about if you're the purple Katakuri, right? If you go ahead and you swing 6, you're trying to bait out a card. So you could give them a counter card from hand, keep this Charlotte Ananas up, but it ends up maybe using leader effect, right? Leader effect plus maybe the 1K Katakuri from hand would be able to get you out of this attack. But what's the likelihood that they've got something to rest this blocker, right? Do you want to utilize this blocker right away, even though you are more than capable of just getting out of the attack? And just goes ahead and gives a 2K, doesn't even use leader effect at this point, and now swings 8,000 power at lead. The crazy thing is with Sanji and Pudding now in this turn, I don't actually think that they can at 7 Dawn use the 2 swings with the purple Rush Luffy that they're holding on to right now. Does end up taking that life, gets a purple Katakuri, has 2 more swings left in the bank at this point. With these 4 Dawn maybe attaching to lead and swinging 9, right? Just trying to maybe think that there's no counter in the hand, or maybe the Anana, but plays the 6 cost. That 6 cost is going to be able to synergize well with the leader effect, right? Is going to restand 2 and leave 3 up. And so attaching 1 to lead being a 7,000 power swing. There's 2 swings coming in now through the Luffy, right, with 2 active Dawn. You know that the rest of this turn, you can math it out, is going to be 7, 7, 7, right, with those 3 Luffy swings right there. So there's that leader swing just being fulfilled by the Anana. Maybe trying to get them to really commit into the real swing, right? Because as soon as this 2 Dawn goes away, you know that there's no blocker coming out on the field, no active Dawn at all, and so has to take that life with the first swing. Is going to go ahead, use that leader effect, reveal the Frankie up top, and then go with the Linlin. The Linlin is going to reveal that Frankie and gain 2,000 power, neutralizing that first swing, and being a 8,000 power swing and 7,000 power, it is going to go ahead and seal that game. An excellent job with the Linlin right there, swinging in for the kill. Gonna be a good win for the purple Katakuri. I think was generally close, right? Getting a little lucky potentially that the green purple Luffy did not have 2 Sanji Puddings out on the field at the same time. Definitely helped in the long run, but I think still played that very, very well. Kind of knew his outs, knew the different searches that he could have, and what cards especially gain value at what time, right? Kind of holding off on that Bon Clay to later stages of the game. And so the Katakuri team is going to advance. Let's look at both players' deck lists. So we actually don't have an exact list of the green purple Luffy. My apologies, I said it earlier. I thought I did, but watching the match, I realized that this list actually doesn't have Nico Robin in it, but there's a lot of key pieces that are in this list that I think are really good to utilize. I think primarily what the player had changed in that game from the list that we saw is taking out something like Electrical Luna or the Demonic Aura 9-source style Asura Demon 9 flash cards in replacement for the 3-drop blocker. It all really depends on how much you value that extra surge to help provide the engine that is the high amount of early game searches with the Nami, the When You're at Sea You Fight Pirates, and also the Zoro Juro, right? They help all find the card that is most essential to your list in the Sanji and Pudding, right? really helping you reutilize the Dawn to essentially have a free leader effect of that Dawn -2, right? 6,000 power leaders, as we've seen in the One Piece trading card game, are so good, and so this is a pseudo way to have that as well, especially if you can do it consecutively every single turn. Lots of these green purple Luffy decks also provide several cards that have re-ramping effects with their on play, including the Frankie, right? Frankie is the most common, I feel like, one that we see in these lists. Allows you in the early game to go up on Dawn, right? Bring back Dawn, especially when you want to use your leader effect in a certain turn, and Tony Chopper, that Animal Foxy Pirate, also fulfilling that role, right? Just a great 2-drop blocker to play. The Luffy Taro, I think, is something that we've started to see come back a little bit in the meta for the green purple Luffy list. I think a lot of people weren't really on it in the EB02 format in the East, but with OP11 really needing bodies to compete with the blue purple Luffy, as well as swarming the field to overwhelm different opponents like Bello Betty, Zoro, Lucci. I think that this card has a ton of value within this format. The Luffy secret rare from EB02 is definitely a pricey one, if you've been watching the prices out in the West, and probably something that you definitely need within this archetype. So hopefully if you open some boxes or you made some good trades, you can get this for a really good deal. But trust me, I know for a fact that this is the exact purple Katakuri list. The purple Katakuri having a really nice leader effect, right, of getting that free 1,000 power. We saw it in the late stage loop with the Charlotte Linlin. I didn't think that you would use it 2 times in a single match, but it provided so much value to essentially get plus 3,000 power, right? And a lot of these cards having very, very good synergy with your leader on this, knowing what's at the top of the deck, right? Sparrow being one of the more important cards of the deck. Getting correct that cost of the top card of the deck allows you to cycle a card in hand, right? Pitch a non-counter, gain something that may have counter, and also re-ramp a Dawn back as active to utilize for several different cards like the Charlotte Anana in here, or maybe a 1-drop Pudding, although we didn't see it in this game. The Charlotte Pudding is a great 1-drop searcher for this deck that also allows you to look at the top of your opponent's deck for any reason. The 8-cost Katakuri is also going to be an expensive SR that you're going to need not only for this deck, but also for blue purple Luffy, right? Being able to restand Big Mom Pirates at the end of turn with the cost of 3 or more is so good specifically in this deck. It's so good in blue purple Luffy, right? Because you can stand your 8-drop Katakuris and also your Linlins. But with so many different Big Mom Pirates cards in the Sparrow, right, the 10-drop Linlin that you're playing down on the field, gives it so much more value, right, in so many situations. Now, getting back the Dawn is not only done by Sparrow, but also in Charlotte Pudding, right? This OP08 card that was so good in Trafalgar Law is something that I see in every single one of these purple Katakuri deck lists, right? The Charlotte Pudding is really good for once you put that Dawn back to re-ramp it. Provides so many good situations with your leader effect, right? Especially on your turn, being able to essentially have a free effect at that point. God Thread is also another really good card, right, to be able to ramp up, as well as the Bon Clay. God Thread we're seeing a lot from that OP10 set to be able to KO pesky characters on the field like Sanji and Pudding, right, that don't have that Straw Hat Crew going merry plus cost. Sasaki, again, like I mentioned, is a searchable 2K, but if times are tough and you need to re-ramp, that when attacking is going to be very nice for you to play, especially in the early game. It just stinks that, you know, you're putting a 2K on the field. Another card that I see in here a lot of times, I think outside of Bon Clay, I think kind of Bon Clay replaced it in this deck list, is 5-drop Eustace Captain Kidd, especially when you have Charlotte Pudding and 5-drop Eustace Captain Kidd on the field. Using your leader effect is actually ramping an extra Dawn, right? Because you get 1 Dawn back through the Pudding as rested, and 1 drop back from the Eustace Captain Kidd as active. Can be very, very good in a lot of different situations in the game, but this list being very successful not having it. Also, this being the Twitter post of the user Sakamoto2918, if you want to go follow them, was the pilot of this list. And you can see the matchups over here that they played. They went individually 10-3 overall, with their team going 11-2 in general, losing once each to a blue-purple Luffy, a red-green Smoker, and a green-purple Luffy. Going 3-1 against green-purple Luffy, and then also against blue-purple Luffy. 4-1, I think my math is correct. It seems like a decent archetype to be able to play in a OP11 format that has some good matchups, right? Obviously, you have to really know your deck and be a good pilot in order to be successful with the deck, but especially if you're looking for a list that's not named Luffy in the upcoming format, this is definitely one to look out for. And that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this commentary. I mean, I think overall, I just got back from out of state like literally less than an hour ago, and I sat down and recorded this. Driving for like 4 or 5 hours across state borders to get back home. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit tired. So hopefully that commentary was still good. Let me know any feedback you have or any thoughts you had on this matchup down in the description below. This was really cool. I love Purple Katakuri, for those of you that may know if you've heard some of these videos. And I'm so excited to watch the rest of this tournament with you all. Check back again soon, and we'll see you later.